Okay, my outstanding friends, today we're going to do something about the origin of life. There's been statements made, and I have been making statements myself. I don't know about the origin of life, but I can show you some of the things that have not been considered about life at this point. All right, there are people making statements about the origin of life, and I think that they don't have the complete picture by any means. So let's see if we can fill things in. Okay, my friends, so if we're looking for the origin of life, why shouldn't we look out in space? Is there life out in space, or is just, we know there's life on Earth. Of that, there's very little question. However, where did it come from? Now, what if we look at meteorites? Because meteorites are the key to this whole thing. And these are meteorites right here. These two are meteorites. That is us, I believe. And I'm going to show you a whole series of them. And I'm going to show you that they contain life. Okay, my friends, check this out. This just came in this morning. This is from Science Alert. They send this stuff every day, all kinds of stuff. Now, man uses strange rock as doorstep for decades, turns out to be worth a fortune. $75,000 they paid him for this 22-pound iron meteorite. Now let's look into this a little deeper. I know exactly what that is and how it was formed and where it came from, and it was a product of biology. Okay, so we know the thing is worth a fortune, and I have here 3 small iron meteorites. And you can see they're magnetic because of the little magnetic balls attached to them. Now, we're going to look at the things that they have found in space, the biggest meteorites, iron meteorites, chondritic meteorites, and so forth. But don't forget, this right here is this one here. We're going to look at that close up. Okay, you see what we're looking at there? You see the texture of this thing? You see these cavities and these little orifices inside? It's packed with that. And I have one right here, which is a regular it's not a meteorite, it's a lung, because that is a lung. And here's the lung I have here up in the microscope. Now, hold on one second. All right, that's what you see inside of a lung when it erodes in a certain way on Earth. These are mud fossils, but that is exactly, literally identical to what you see here in that one that was worth $75,000. Now that's 22 pounds. That's a big iron meteorite. However, they come much bigger. Okay, get ready, my friends. This shows a lung. There is a mud fossil lung. I have it up in the microscope. This is the microscope right here. Now, this is the mud fossil lung. I have to turn the lights off to make it look better. All right, now, what do we have here? We have bright red blood. That's bright red blood. These are all the alveoli. Hold on, let me turn this down a little bit. All right, these are all the alveoli, just like I showed you in the other one down here, which was that $75,000 one right there. Whoops. You see how it has all these little cavities all over the place? The exact same thing as this. Now, the problem is, well, it's not a problem, but the story is when a lung comes through space, the red blood literally boils off, and you end up with the iron. That's what's in blood is iron. That's what the iron meteorite is. That's it right there. Now, but this was terrestrial, so it didn't boil off. Now, I have 2 of them here that, well, 3 actually, that did come through space and became iron meteorites. And I have a ton of them, I'll show you on here, that still have blood in them that came through space. Normally, they're going to be a heart or a lung. Lungs are almost always the ones. But hearts, lungs, and livers are the ones that have all the, really saturated with blood. So let's dig deep. All right, something to remember that bolsters my claims is that the red blood, or the red iron oxides that they find, is called hematite, which means blood. And the black is the used, this is the red blood. artery blood. This is what makes your body run. The oxygen is bonded here. It has 3 oxygens. This is a 2 oxygen state blood, which is the magnetite. That makes it magnetic. I mean, it's laying right in front of your face. It's unbelievable. And this is not from space. However, I will show you ones that have identical same stuff. They have the red blood and they have the black blood. Okay, my friends, so that was the lung. It was right there in the microscope. And these are all the other samples of lungs, which I will show you in a second. I have some here that I will be putting in the microscope as well, which contain iron in them. These are meteorites. They come tiny, they come gigantic. This is one from claim NASA, which is a meteorite. This is a Willamette meteorite. Look at this one. This is identical to my lung. It's the same as the lung. And this, as I showed you, this is saturated with red blood. When it came through space, they just burn off. The hotter it gets, the more concentrated the iron. This is look at the size of it. The bigger it is, the hotter it's going to get, because it's just got more crushing heat. All right, so the bigger it is, the hotter it gets. The hotter it gets, the more it smelts. The more it smelts, the more concentrated the iron and the nickel and so forth become. So you got size to deal with. Then you've got what kind of an organ is it? Because this is a lung. I mean, it's quite obviously it's a lung. Nobody in their right mind can deny that. And these also are lungs. Now, this was not. That's why they go. This is a different type of meteorite, and it was from a bone, I believe, and it hit, and it boiled all the inside out of the blood out of the marrow, and this did not burn. We'll look at it in a microscope. So this is a different style of meteorite, but it's still turned into iron. Now this one's a lung, that one's a lung. This one's a terrestrial bone. But they show a meteorite here that is identical to this. And this is called a meteorite, which it is. These 2 holes right here are these 2 holes right here. And this is, I mean, it literally is identical to that meteorite. It's just it didn't come through space. And this is the inside, which is the bone marrow. That's why it's black in there. And that's where the ligament attaches. That attached to another bone and did that sort of stuff. Now, because of mud fossils, they preserve completely, 100%. All the way down to the collagen. You see that seam there and that seam? That's where the wrapping of the fabric of the membrane seams together. Everything is enclosed in its own membrane. Every single part of your body, every single bit. And if that membrane goes bad, you get invaded and you get all kinds of diseases. Now, let's get back into this. And let's first of all look at this Willamette meteorite. Look at the size of this puppy. Now, right there, you probably can't see that very well. Let me see if I can home right in on that. As I show you in all my meteorites, there's little holes in them. You see that little red blood spot? That's the same blood spots that are in all of the alveoli. They all have one of those. You see this? Well, hold on. Let me put it back in the microscope. I'll show you. But it's the same thing. It's got the same. That's it. All right. This is a very good shot. I was just scoping around to show the cavity, the same holes they have there. Now, look at this. This gives everything in one shot. This is fabulous. This is one of the major alveoli. The bigger they are, is the closer they are to the entranceway, to the tubes that come in, they're going to be bigger holes. Now, look at this. This is starting to form crystals. This will happen where the blood was entering. If it's in the right conditions, you'll get big ones. This stopped right here. That was it. But if it was continuous to be in the same wet conditions over and over and over, they will actually grow crystals. That's what grows these crystals. Now, and I've been to crystal mines where they call them diamond mines. They're really not diamonds. They're quartz. but they grow big in these what they call vugs. Vugs are the holes, and the holes are the alveoli. Now, here's some that still had all the blood in it. I broke that off. Here's ones that have the black blood, which is the vein blood, and that's vein blood. This is artery blood, artery blood. These are the alveoli, the cavities, and these are the little passageways that run through it. It's just a gigantic network of tubing inside the lung. And that lung is just exactly identical to this. Of course, it came through space, and once it hit apparently this direction, and then everything all burnt off the back of it. However, maybe it came through like this, and this is the side, whatever. But this is that, only it's a little smaller, and it's not all burnt up. Now, let's take a look at all these meteorites. And I will show you there is still blood in them because they didn't get hot enough to burn all the blood off. That one did. This one and these two, I think they still have blood in them. But I can show you all kinds of meteorites with blood in them. You want to see them? Here they are right here. Hold on. All right, so we know the Willamette has blood in it, and I'm going to show you that real close up. This is the meteorite that they sold for $75,000, the 22-pounder. That's big. Now, this is also a meteorite, all right, and it was cut, and then they probably put some acid on there to etch it, but these are all the different metals that are in here, which are all the transition metals that are in blood. All of those different metals form all different crystal lattices like that. That is the black blood, and that's the red blood. All right, that's the vein, that's the artery. It's not too hard to see. You see the black? You see the red? This, I believe, was probably I don't know, maybe a liver. I don't really know. But I can tell you what, that is red blood. And this over here is the black blood. The hematite and the magnetite. And the whole thing is an iron meteorite. A lot of ites going on there, but that's what it is. All right, I have one of the iron meteorites in the microscope right there. Now, what do I have here? I have two other lungs, and that is also a lung in the microscope. And these are, of course, full size, almost the same size as humans, almost identical. And this has all the fabric still on it, and all of the integrity is still inside. That is virtually transplantable. I mean, that thing is just flawless. Inside will have all of the architecture, and it will still have all of the blood because it's running out of here. I had this DNA tested, and it is human. Now, this other one here turned into quartz. It all filled with quartz. Now, sometimes they don't fill with quartz, like the one I have here. All right, this is a terrestrial one too, but it was in a condition where it was just continuously invaded by silicates. And silicates create quartz. Now, the blood ran here. So this, see all the blood? I showed you all the blood that was in this thing. If this lung was like this and it laid this way, all of that red blood would pool down here, and it did. And this, so in other words, this laid like this, and then it all got invaded with silicates. But there was still blood. Still, that blood is, I'm telling you, that's unbelievable. Red blood lasts forever, and here it did. It came out of there as it dried out. It bubbled out from the surface. Now, the other thing I want you to look at is this one. This one, again, was DNA tested, and I have it here. I'll probably show it to you again. I want you to look at this fabric. You see this fabric, the red and the black and these little white patches? Because what I'm going to show you right now in the microscope here is up here, and it's dry right now. I'm going to wet it so that you'll see it a lot better. But you can see these are the alveoli. There's some red blood. There's the fabric that I was just talking about. It didn't burn off on this one. Hold on, let me see if I can focus. But you can see the red blood. You can see a little bit burnt off red blood. This was just too small to cook. and the other one is less cooked than this. But when I put water on here, you'll be able to see the black from the red and all of that stuff. It's a tiny little iron meteorite. All right, it's moistened up now. I'm going to just sort of rummage around here. But you can see these are the fabrics, and these are the alveoli holes, and the blood is still in them, a lot of it. And this is the fabric I was talking about before. Hold on, let me see if I can focus. This is the fabric that coats the lung. Again, it wasn't cooked off like the other ones. The one I have in my microscope is a better example of what life is that's coming through space, because this shows these exact same fabrics. These are collagens. This is filled with blood, and it's the shape of a lung, and it is iron, and it came through space. So let's go to the next one. All right, this is the other little iron meteorite I showed you. This is another tiny one. It has all the alveoli, all the little holes in it. It's dry right now. Let's put a little moisture on it and see it again. All right, it's a little moist now, but it's basically the same thing. You see the little white fibers all over the place? Again, this was too small to completely cook off. But it's got all the blood, and it's got all of the cavities. You see them? It's a little iron meteorite. Now we're going to go look at the last one, which, crazy enough, weighs almost nothing, but it's the most magnetic because it's boiled out straight blood. Watch. All right, you see that? I'm going to explain to you why this has so many different crystals in a second, but you see this? This one here has the most magnetism of all my meteorites, and the reason is this was in a bone. This is bone, and that is strictly that is strictly the blood boiled out of there. It didn't, and it just congealed into iron skin, really. I mean, it's like a blob of iron, but it doesn't weigh hardly anything compared to like that. This is heavy. That's heavy because it's almost all iron. This just boiled a little bit of its blood out from the bone. And then let's take a look at this in a microscope in a second. But what I want you to understand about this, I believe this would be a liver. And the reason I say that is, first of all, it doesn't have all the cavitation like a lung would have. Secondly, it appears to have a ton of different metals. Every one of these different patterns should be a different crystallization from a different type of transition metal. And these are the transition metals that are in your body. And then there's all kinds of toxins and so forth that get collected in your lung. It's heavy with metals. Let's just go with that. Heavy with metals. So it all burnt up, cooked off, and left all of these crystal patterns inside, because they will reform against their own kind as it sort of cools down. But we know we got artery and vein. Is that there is just a zero question of that. So what organ was it? I go with the liver. And again, it's because of the transition metals. And the transition metals are what cause all the colors. You know something? Let me show you something about a heart. It's a terrestrial heart, but it'll explain why I say all of these transition metals are the key to all of those little patterns. All right, all of these are in your body, and you see all these different charges? Those are charged particles. That means they pick up things and they deliver them. They deliver them and they pick up, it's just like you deliver something, they give you a bunch of money, you leave. Well, this here, you deliver some chemistry, and they give you some electrons or whatever, and you leave. It's as simple as that. Transition. In aqueous, these are metal nucleus, and it's surrounded by all kinds of what they call ligands, which are little pinchers that pinch all different elements and carry them through your body. So this is what's in your blood, and that's why you have all these colors. Now let me prove it. All right, here's my proof. This is a heart. It's an opal heart. Opals are transitioned solid stone because of transition metals. all of these metals, which are all of those colors, were in the blood. It was soaked literally in blood. So every type of tissue finds its own exact molecule to stabilize it. That's why this is blue and this is all these different colors, and then you have all of this different colors collected at the bottom of the heart. This is the top. The plasma rises up. The metals sink down. So that's where the metals are, and these are all the different metals that are in the heart, those transition metals. Now I have a heart right here. This is a heart as well. That's the aorta, and it has still a little bit of blood left in it, and there's a little bit of cavity there that you can see. This is the chamber wall right down here, and that's what the heart is. That's what they look like. Now, and all of the inside has been turned into what they call water opal. It's opal, but it was only in water, not in transition metals. And the same thing with this. This is another heart. And it's cut across. You can see all of the articulation of the goo, literally. I'll show you one that's a real heart. Here it is right here. That's the same stuff. It's exactly the same thing as that. And this right up here is the same thing as that. And that right there is the same thing as that. All right, so it depends on the condition that the thing ends up being in. And this stuff is coming through space. You saw the William F. meteorite. All right, you see that. Now, how big was that creature? Look at the size of that thing. That's one lung. Now this is a hair follicle. It's from Earth, but it's a hair follicle from a gigantic creature. That's the pili erector muscle attachment. This is the sebaceous gland. That's the hair shaft. Flat-sided vein and artery here at the bottom. This is about 500 times bigger than a normal hair. So we're talking about creatures that were gigantic, and they're coming through space. So talk to me about the origin of life, taking that into consideration. All right, remember I showed you that one that had the black all over it, and I said it was a broken bone. Remember this, the vein and the artery coming down the tube, and then you have spongy bone at the end. And of course, there's bone surrounding this marrow zone. All right, so don't forget, we're looking at the vein and the artery, and we're looking at a vein and an artery right here. Now, where is the vein and where is the artery? You look at and you think about where is the bone, where is the vein, and where is the artery? Well, there's the bone that did not burn up. There is the artery, which usually has a hole, and it blows out red blood. And there's the vein, which turns black. All right, so that is the magnetite, and that's the hematite. And this area is extremely magnetic. And this is the whole thing that came through. But that's bone. Now let me get another shot of it. But I think that's probably enough so you can understand what we got here. This was encased in bone at one time, and part of it broke off or whatever, and the blood just boiled out from the marrow. All right, this appears to be biology all over the place. This was where their red blood boiled out over here. But you can see these are like all bone bits or whatever you want to call them. They're what your bone is constructed of. And it didn't burn off completely, but it burnt up significantly. And that's why we have this down here. That's all blood. And it boiled right out of that bone marrow, basically. All right, so this is the bone head, just like that. And it broke off right there, and this, I just put a little moisture on there, is where the marrow is. That little white spot is the last taste of bone left in this bone. Now I'm going to show it in a microscope, and you'll see it, and we can see the ligament attachments and the blood vessels where they come out, and all that stuff. All right, that's the hair follicle right there. That's where the erector pili muscle attaches. That lets your hair do that. That's the sebaceous gland. That oils your shaft. That is the hair shaft. And all around it is the skin. And it's a flat-sided hair, which means it's going to grow curly. I think I talked about this, but there's the hair root ball. And there's the vein and artery right there. And it sits in a creature's body just like this. Alright, so their skin would be, well, I don't know. This is down here. This slid down, I believe. So it's laying down here. But this is huge. It's just, it's 500 times or so bigger than ours. Somewhere around there. I don't know. That's just a guess. But, and then we have all these different notos, which are creatures that have springs built into their feet. They didn't have, see that little pin right there? See that little circle? That's a pin. And there's springs inside of them. And we have several different styles of these, literally. And that's where the tibia, the big bone, came down. And it sat in that saddle right there. And this is where the fibula comes down, which is held on by ligaments. It just falls off. And they all do the same thing. We have tons of these. Lots and lots of these. And they're very, very similar to the human foot. But, like I say, they have springs inside. So there's so much to look at. Now, let's just take a quick look at this in a microscope, which is the marrow part. And the tiniest little bit of bone left right there. All right, that's the process of the invasion. All right, so let's look at it in a microscope. All right, we got the bone coming up on its end. It's up here in the microscope. That right there is the last bit of bone. All right, this is the side of the outside of the bone, the coating of the bone. They used to call it the tunica. It wraps up, it's a membrane. And then we start into where the bone was, and that's the last piece left. And then as you go in, this is what would have been the marrow. It's a little shiny now. This is dried up, but it's a little bit too shiny to see. Hold on. All right, you see it? That's the last bit of bone that's left. And this stuff is all the marrow. Turns black because that's where the blood is. See little balls of blood? Sometimes you turn the lights down, you can see a little better. It depends. Now, if we go to the side, this is what it looks like on the wrapping on the side. It's basically got the same sort of texture as all of them do. This fabric. You see the fabric? It's a different type of fabric, but it's still a fabric. It's a membrane, and that membrane coats this bone. All right, and then once you get past the membrane, then you're into this black stuff, which is inside the bone. Anyway, it's a lot to look at. Very interesting, I thought. Oh, by the way, these are the notos, and this would have been completely encased, and it's just eroded away. Again, there's the fibula. The tibia sits at the back. Same thing, only in these had their springs. You see the springs? That's the ball right here, your calcaneal, your heel. All right, that's the heel bone. That strap would have gone right up to the bone coming down, which is the tibia, the big bone coming down, sat in that cradle. All right, which would have been back here. Now, the strap has broken away. You see, it would have gone right up to that bone. so to keep the bone and the heel together. And when it broke off, it left what they call a wrinkle zone. I can show you that. But these are the springs. That's not a normal human foot. That is not normal. We have bones. We have these kind of bones in us. This is way, way not normal. So we have all kinds of things to show, or I do. This is all my stuff. I've been doing this for years. As a matter of fact, I was trying to figure out how long it's been, and I just called back some photos from 2004. I thought it was only like 12, 13, 14 years, something like that, but 2004, that's 19 years ago. I started collecting this stuff knowing that someday somebody's going to have to take a look at it. So maybe it's today, who knows. All right, so these are the feet, and there's a lot of these, a lot of people have them too. And they came in all kinds of different varieties. I have 3 distinct different types of feet here, and I mean different, but they're all very similar to humans. And this is right where the blood runs down to where the toes are, but the toes are encased. This is not a shoe. This is a foot. And they were made like this. And I have so much stuff on this, it's time to get really deep into it. Now, I'm going to probably say something that might sound a little off color, but it's going to be fun, and we're going to see things that you would never, ever, ever, ever imagine. Okay, my friends. The unsolved enigma of the origin of life, a new strategy. Well, people that talk about the origin of life and make statements about it gonna have to have big balls. Fortunately, I got big balls. And like I said, big balls. And they are everywhere. They're not just here, they're virtually everywhere on Earth. And I showed you a hair follicle, which is from another gigantically large creature, but certainly not nearly as big as that. However, I have so many examples of these things, and they come in such a variety, as in this type that has webbing inside, and another style here that has egg shells, and another style that has a central core with chert surrounding it. So I'm not going to drag you through this at the moment, but this is the new biology. They didn't even realize this existed until 2018. I discovered this in 2010 and did the research on it and found out, well, here's what happened. These are all the balls and this whole layer here. They always thought it was just a flat mat. They had no clue about what it really consisted of, because by the time they got them into the autopsies, they were just dried and flat. And they had no clue. It's a membrane, but extremely complex. And it's called the newest organ in the human body, 2018. This is the interstitium. And what does it consist of? It consists of all those balls. All of these balls. These are the Moki marbles, but these are the little balls that hold the skin in place. And here it is right here. There it is. And that's how it looks in a little less magnified. This is very magnified, and this is like really right in a mess. So we got a lot to talk about, but let's start with big balls.